Hey, Skiba News Nation family, we have a very special guest, Jake and I. We have a comedian, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu legend, and the host of the great podcast, Look Into It with Eddie Bravo. I'd like to welcome Mr. Eddie Bravo. Welcome to Skiba News Nation.
Yo, what's up?
What's up, man?
Welcome. You said comedian first. I think I'm comedian last. I'm barely a comedian.
Well, that's how we all met was at one of your comedy shows, and it just so happened to work out because Jake lives in a different state, and him and his wife and his kids were staying with us for a little while, and my girlfriend just so happened to be scrolling on her phone, and she saw that. She's like, Eddie Bravo's coming. We gotta go to that. And I went down and I told Jake, and he was like, yeah, dude, I'm staying a couple extra days. And that's a photo with all of us, with you, me, Jake, and Sam.
Hell yeah.
And it was pretty awesome, man. We got to connect, and I gave you some cool FE coasters and some.
Oh, hell yeah. And that was that show that I kicked somebody out, right?
Dude, that was epic. That was really cool.
Dude, I lost it. I was just like, you piece of shit, get the fuck out of my show.
Well, dude, he was behind me in line because me and Jake both pitched like our ideas to the swarm tank. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So he was behind us and he kept trying to cut us, and he was like, hey man, do you mind if I cut you? And I was like, no, like, yes, I mind. And he did the same thing to Jake, and then Jake went, and then I went, and I was like, man, I have a feeling this is going to be good. And he was just, I think he was like a plant. It was just too weird.
Yeah, I mean, he was accusing me and Sam of being shills. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I was like, okay, this guy.
Because you're one of the most outspoken like truthers. I mean, it's just not right. It's crazy.
I mean, there's like a video of me. Someone made a video of me on like. I'm piled of a bunch of clips from Sam Tripoli's podcast where I'm like doing like signs with my hands as I'm talking. They go, oh, he's Freemason. He's Freemason. I mean, so I'm like, once I saw that, I was like, okay, all those other videos, because there's a bunch of videos of guys that, you know, like, look, he's a shill. He's doing Freemasonic hand signals on camera. And I used to think like, oh, I can't trust this guy. Okay. I can't trust this guy. He's doing it right in front of our face. And then once I did it to me, I was like, okay, that's okay, all right, because I talk a lot with my hands, and every now and then you could pause it, and it could look like some kind of, you know, Luciferian thing or whatever. And there are pictures of me in Egypt. I went to Egypt in 2006.
Cool.
And I was like I'm a metalhead, dog. So I'm like a Slayer fan. So when I do that, that's metal. But I understand, you know, that people go, oh, he's Baphomet or something. I'm like, dude, I grew up in the 80s. I grew up with Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil, and Ronnie James Dio. So I see how it all gets mixed up and shit. And back in the day, I had long hair down to my waist. I had the longest hair ever. And for every like third or fourth Halloween, I would dress up as a chick just because it was easy. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, I have long hair. I just put on a dress and I dressed as a chick for Halloween. I did that when I was like 8 years old too. I dressed up as a chick for Halloween. When I was on MySpace, I put out those pics of me dressing like a chick for Halloween. Those same pictures are coming back to me going, dude, did you do the fucking Hollywood ritual? Look, they made you do the Hollywood ritual. I'm like, okay. So now I got to take a lot of shit with like a tablespoon of salt. You know, when people start accusing people of being a shill, because you are the only one that really knows if you're a shill or not. You yourself are the only one that knows. Everyone else can speculate and can think whatever, but you know, like I know who I am and I know what's up. No CIA guy has ever, you know, put me in a van and threaten me or anything. But that one show, do you remember that one guy who claimed he was CIA? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
that guy?
I actually got in his face because Sam was trying to get you in the car, and I tried to like I think it was my girlfriend and I. We were trying to like get in front of him so you could get in the car because he was very, very like trying to get to you, and that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
very strange.
And he said, I work for the CIA. I was sent by the CIA to watch over you or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, let's get the out of here. So I took the off.
Yeah, man, that was pretty
You never
crazy.
know. I mean, and that wasn't the first time. Dude, we were in San Francisco and there was some guys saying they were from the CIA there to, so like now I'm like, okay, it could either be real, maybe it's real, or they just be dudes clowning. Like you just don't know.
Yeah,
And like nowadays, like why would the CIA come after me? There's so many people. Like it used to be just a few people. Al Jones, a couple people. I was on Joe Rogan podcast talking a lot of and so for a while there, I was worried, like, damn, I'm putting it out there, I'm a target. But now there's so many truthers now, like the wave has come over me and washed over me, and now I'm like in the background now, and that's exactly how I like it. You know what I mean? Like Candace Owens is saying more crazy about the deep state than I am. You know
yep.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Dave Smith, Jimmy Dore, those guys are going hard in the paint. I'm not going that hard. So I feel like, why would they even pay attention to me at this point? There's so many other, they need to pay attention to like Patrick Ben David. And you know what I mean? But there's so many guys that have millions of followers and talking all sorts of shit on the deep state and all that. Like I'm irrelevant now, you know?
Yeah, well, I think we saw the definition of shills during the whole COVID season, right? I mean, we saw people with big followings, whatever celeb types, pushing and shilling for big pharma or whatever. So there's like the money, angle of somebody having that excuse to shill, and then there's here, check this picture out. It's the Agent Smith effect. You ever in the movie The Matrix, right? Agent Smith can enter anybody's body, and then boom, one of them turned into Agent Smith. When they're in the Matrix, and I think it's like the same thing. Like people, they resort back to their cognitive dissonance or whatever, and they turn into a shill without even being aware of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the shills that aren't aware that they're shills are the most powerful because they think they're doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, those are the most powerful shills. So, but they're powerful if they don't know their shills. They're way more powerful if they think they're doing the right thing. They sell whatever idea way better
Passion,
if they don't know that. Yeah, they're useful.
I think they're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as opposed to telling these shills like, hey, listen, lie to the people here, lie to the people there. We're trying to take over the world, New World Order style. Those people they're not going to be that convincing. They're like, wait a minute, I don't know if I want to be part of this shit. It's always best if your controlled opposition doesn't know they're controlled opposition. Way more powerful. But those people can wake up and they're powerful, but if they figure it out on their own, now you lost them. And now they're gonna be the deep state's enemy.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel. I don't know what the real story is behind Elon Musk, but I mean, he is in SpaceX. He is doing electric cars. He is all about that. So, but I think there is a chance that he didn't know he was controlled opposition this whole time, and now he's waking up. I hope that's the case. That's
too.
what I think is going on, but I don't know. He might know the whole story, and he might just be playing a role. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell because with the SpaceX and the faking, like launching a car into space and all that guy.
So SpaceX supposedly took a Tesla as is on the Earth and put it into space.
Really excited about today. Incredibly proud of the SpaceX team. They've done an incredible job of creating really the most advanced rocket in the world and the biggest rocket in the world. I'm still trying to absorb everything that happened because it seems surreal to me. I had this image of just a giant explosion on the pad with a wheel bouncing down the road and like the Tesla logo landing somewhere with a thud. But fortunately, that's not what happened.
Obviously, it's not as is because there's no rear view mirror, which is because it would show the fourth wall. When you make film productions, you can't show the fourth wall. Now, conveniently, the Telegraph left off a part of that interview. Let's see what he actually says.
March NEP. What was going through your mind? How amazed were you to see your roadster up there with Starman just cruising along with the Blue Planet? And how long will we be getting live views, do you think, from the car?
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Like, what a joke, bro. Is that why you took the rearview mirror off of it? Now check this out. Sending men to Mars from rockets built at Michoud. Elon Musk hangs out at the Michoud movie studios. NASA may soon have competition in the race to send men to Mars. Tesla and SpaceX founder Elon Musk wants to send people to Mars in his own rockets and is looking to build some of the spacecraft at the Michoud Assembly Facility in New Orleans East. Michoud has played vital roles in building rockets for the Apollo program and the Space Shuttle external fuel tanks. Right now, parts of the Next Generation spacecraft are being built here. Much of the huge space launch system booster and skeleton of the Orion capsule, which is where we watch the guy say we can't get through the Allen belts. Is that a Tesla inside the Michoud facility? Why do they have cars inside the facility? What is that? That looks awfully similar to.
Like maybe he's controlled opposition that didn't know he was controlled opposition, and now he's waking up. You know, because the shit he says and the Twitter files and all that. I'm like, man, that's so anti-deep state. I don't know. Like, it's hard to figure out if Elon Musk is legit or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, whenever you look at how just simulations can be so real, I mean, I wonder if he himself is, looking at simulations and being convinced that he's accomplishing something.
In the late 1960s, our simulation technology had progressed to the point where it became virtually impossible to separate the training from actual missions. The simulation became full dress rehearsals for the missions down to the smallest detail. The simulation tested out the crew's and controllers' responses to normal and emergency conditions. It checked out the exact flight plan, mission rules, and procedures that the crew and controllers would use for later flights. The simulations were so real that no controller could discern the difference between the training and the real mission. So anyone, such as Matt Walsh, who says, "Oh, the moon landing could have been fake," because so many people in NASA would have to be in on it, right? Including all the people in the control room. That's just patently wrong. It's completely not true. Okay, so just go ahead and get the cognitus out of the way. If you have to characterize or create a caricature of people that are skeptical of these claims by NASA by saying things like, "Oh, you believe that tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people are all in a lie," but I do want to show you this as well because it's very interesting that they give their tells. And so let me give you an example of basically, let's go over here, of an astronaut basically saying this very thing, right? So you may have seen this before, but let's listen to an actual NASA astronaut from back in the day explaining this so that we can get this completely illogical excuse out of the way as to whether or not NASA could be doing anything fraudulent regarding their claims of going to space. So check it out.
You worked on Apollos 8 and 10. What was that like? Can you describe your feelings during those two missions, what it was like?
Well, the missions were so nominal that you almost couldn't believe that it was happening. We had been simulating these things for so long, and everything goes wrong in the simulations. You have devious little men that plan simulations. They plan to do everything wrong so that they can mess everybody up. So when we got to the real mission, it seemed like a piece of cake, really.
What sort of things in the simulations would they have go wrong? What sort of problems would they present to you?
The engine fails. Their gyroscopes and reference equipment will fail. You'll lose communication. They'll underburn, they'll overburn, they'll have abort situations come up.
Do you think that there's any danger when actual astronauts are involved, and it's not a simulation, that your mental attitude won't take into consideration the fact that it's a man?
I don't know that she's necessarily a liar, right? I mean, just listen to what she says.
Exercise.
I think you always remember that there are men on board. And even during simulations, it's not just an exercise. The simulations seem as real as the mission. We have men in simulations. They're in the simulator. They're not flying up to the moon. But we feel like they're real.
You feel like they're real, but do you think that the entire space program, as you view it in your work, has a sense of unreality to it?
I think the atmosphere you work in is a little bit unreal as far as the actual facilities are concerned. You're totally isolated. You're surrounded by machines. There are no windows in the buildings where you work. The lighting is always the same. You lose all track of time. You think in terms of ground elapsed time, and that becomes the only reality.
Or, then on the other hand, he's doing so much that's swaying kind of the truther community, and so I'm always wary of like the false messiah type situation where somebody gives you a bunch of good stuff just so they can screw you on the back end, just to kind of sway people over. But
yep, I agree with you. So it's hard to tell, but I know Joe Rogan very well, and I know he's not controlled opposition. If he is, he doesn't know it, but he I know him well, and look at all the shit he's talking about COVID.
Oh yeah.
If he was, he might, he's a baller. He's not going to be a flat earther, that's for sure. But when it comes to the COVID, he's going hard in the paint, man. So I don't know, when people start talking shit on Joe Rogan, I'm like, dude, you know what? He's got like Dr. Malone on, Peter McCullough. He's got Brent Weinstein, who's totally waking up. Brent Weinstein is waking up. He has him on his podcast for 3 hours, throwing down Patrick Bet-David, talking shit on the deep state. So, yeah, maybe Joe isn't a flat earther, and maybe he still believes in, NASA's version of space, but all that, you know what I mean? What he's doing in regards to the jab and
Oh,
big
yeah.
pharma and all that shit. You got to focus on that. Don't focus on the space shit. Well, he'll eventually figure out where the like he'll eventually figure it out, but it's not even important right now. The most important thing is that he is smashing the whole scamdemic, and he's making it so that there's no way they could pull that shit again. They're not going to pull that fucking bullshit again because he's talking so much, and then with Aaron Rodgers on the show. Aaron Rodgers is fully red pill, dog. He was on my podcast. I don't know if you saw that, but he's fully way more red pill than you could ever imagine. And there's too many people coming out now. I think it's gotten to the point where like they're not paying attention to me. Like paying attention to me is a waste of fucking money. I ain't doing that crazy shit. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter. I'm just on Instagram, and that's for my business. And I'll drop some truth bombs too, but I've done enough. And the new generation, y'all's got to take over. I've done enough. I got to pass the baton. You know what I mean? I've been on Joe Rogan's podcast 85 times, talking all sorts of magic, flat Earth, space is fake. I'm done. Like I'm just talking shit on my podcast, and that's it. I'm not going on and trying to get on Twitter and trying to change the world. I go, if you haven't figured this shit out by now, that's on you. I tried, dog. I did my best. Now it's on you. You still haven't waken up yet? Like, that's on you. I'm not going to risk my life because you can't figure it out.
Right. I mean, it was a blast being on your show. Being able to be a guest was so, like, I know my dad would have loved to just talk with you because Jake was the one who told me, and I didn't realize this because he sent me a clip. My dad did before he died. And Jake was telling me how cool it was that you were talking about him, and then he sent it to me, and we actually have the clip. Do you mind if I play it?
Play it. Let me hear it.
All right, let's play it.
We've already been down this road too many times over a 50-ounce steak.
I sent you the video of the Rob Skiba video where he goes through all these declassified documents from NASA and CIA.
That's the one we talked about on your show.
These are documents
like the original Project Bluebeam stuff.
No, had nothing to do with.
No, I mean it's the same thing. It's like make something up and then make it the big story.
No, these documents had nothing to do with flat Earth or space or the moon or anything in space or stars, but they're NASA documents, declassified. And Rob Skiba, he's a very well-known flat Earth researcher. He's like right up there with Eric Dubé, except Rob Skiba's into the Bible as well, and Eric Dubé isn't. But they're both pretty popular. So Rob Skiba's got this video. Go to his channel, and he's on NASA.gov going through these declassified documents of. Documents and testing of calculating the motion of missiles and high altitude aircraft. Like this, it was all about calculating whether you're talking about trajectory or speed or interceptions of missiles and high altitude aircraft. Had nothing to do with space, nothing. It was all about calculating the motion of high altitude aircraft, military aircraft, and missiles. And all these documents, there's a bunch of them, and Rob Skiba goes through all of them. And he's on their website. He goes, look, in order to calculate the motion of any of these aircraft, you have to, the first assumption is you have to assume that we live on a flat, non-rotating Earth. Flat, non-rotating Earth. Over and over and over. It has nothing to do with space. And in order to get the numbers right in these calculations, in these computations, you have to assume that we live on the craziest conspiracy theory ever. A flat, non-rotating Earth.
But like you said, that's actually out of the Bible and out of most ancient history.
No,
most religions claim the Earth is flat.
Yeah, what happened to the Coriolis effect? Hold on.
Yeah,
what happened to the Coriolis effect? Like, snipers have to calculate the spin and the rotation of the Earth to hit their targets. At a certain distance.
And then I can drive flat earthers like Eddie crazy just by asking the right questions, because I know.
Ask me the right question.
Aha! Touche.
No, explain that though. Like if there's documents, there's
like the NASA thing. Like the NASA thing.
That was epic.
Bravo.
Yeah, I still do that all the time. I send Aaron Rodgers that video too.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about putting it on our channel where you're talking about it, and then playing the actual my dad's video because he got demonetized recently. and we're luckily still monetized. So it'd just be cool to be like, this is Eddie Bravo's favorite video of my dad Rob SKIBA'S, just to show like, because it's
that's the best video. I still use that. I still send that out to anybody that has questions. I'm like, just watch this.
Testing the globe. Look, boom.
Okay, so in the 1930s, we had both Auguste Piccard and the Russians sending up high-altitude balloons, and they're looking out, and they're not able to detect curvature. So we go forward about a decade to the 1940s, 1948. This is an official CIA, look up here, CIA.gov, okay, CIA declassified document from the Russians. Outer gravitational field and shape of the physical surface of the Earth. They're trying to figure out the shape of the Earth at all points of the physical surface of the Earth and only on the surface, whereas it is not determinable at all other points of space without knowledge of the shape of the Earth. So they're still trying to figure out the shape of the Earth here. But since the shape of the Earth is not known, 1948, the true coordinates of these points, B, L, and H, are unknown to us. So the Russians are having trouble figuring out the shape of the Earth in 1948. Let's look at another document here. Another declassified CIA document up here, right? They're checking out the firmament in this one. Let's go back to Acrobat. 1953 now. Geophysics light scattering, USSR. Trying to figure out how does light work in the atmosphere here. In the investigations, 2 instruments designed by V.G. Fezenkov were used. One of these was a visual photometer of the daytime sky intended for measuring the brightness of the firmament. Interesting. Trying to figure out the brightness of the firmament. Again, 1957. The dissertation contains a certain formula of the brightness of the sky, taking into consideration only the brightness of the first order, and derived, get this now, on the assumption of a flat Earth, and giving some conclusions derived on the basis of this formula. So the Russians are trying to check out the firmament based on assumptions of a flat Earth in 1957? Very interesting, huh? ntrs.nasa.gov document here, dated April 17th, 1961, and the missile position in space is computed relative to a flat, non-rotating Earth. June 1971, a method for reducing the sensitivity of optimal nonlinear systems to parameter uncertainty. Whatever that means. And we get down to about page 12 here, and it says, a numerical example problem statement. The idealizing assumptions made are the following. Number 1, a point mass vehicle. Number 2, of the idealized assumptions that are being made for this example is a flat, non-rotating Earth. NASA making idealized assumptions based on a flat, non-rotating Earth? What's going on here? Let's continue. Here we have another NASA.gov document. Equations for angles of attack and side slip relative to both a rolling and non-rolling body access system are derived for a flight vehicle for which radar and gyroscopic attitude data are available. The method is limited, however, to application where a flat, non-rotating Earth may be assumed. Alright, let's continue. That was 1972, the end of the, or right around the end of the Apollo program. So we go to NASA again, nasa.gov, December 1978. The aircraft trajectory model employed in this study was derived based on the following assumptions. Number 1, the Earth is flat and not rotating. That's the number 1 assumption? So we're going to see this over and over and over again regarding the equations of motion. They're always using it on a flat, non-rotating Earth model, which doesn't make sense if you're developing aircraft and missiles and things like that to go over a rotating ball. Why would you start off with the assumption of a non-rotating flat Earth if the real-world application is over a spinning ball? 1987 NASA technical paper. Within the program, the nonlinear equations of motion include 12 states representing a rigid aircraft flying in a stationary atmosphere over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Over a flat, non-rotating Earth. There are the two figures, figure 6, figure 7, over flat Earth. Army Research Laboratory. Back to NASA, nasa.gov, June 2002. Stability and control estimation flight test results for the SR-71 aircraft with externally mounted experiments. So we're back to checking out some things on the SR-71. These equations assume a rigid vehicle and a flat, non-rotating Earth. In other scenarios, only the range to the center of the field of view and the depression angle is known, so that a flat Earth approximation provides the best estimate. Alrighty then. This model works over a flat Earth and non-turbulent atmosphere. Rigid projectile model is employed to predict the dynamics of a projectile in flight. These equations assume a flat Earth. Why would you project flight dynamics over an assumed flat Earth if in reality we are dealing with a spinning ball?
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. What was the first time that you, like, what was the first conspiracy that led you down the rabbit hole, and what was it like? Like, do you remember what it was?
I would say when I was 11, I had been an altar boy in a Catholic church. I thought everybody was Catholic. And then once I found out there's other religions, I didn't know there was other religions. And once I found out that there's, the Jewish religion, Muslim, Islam, Hindu, I was like, wait a minute, there's other religions? How do we know we're right? So then right away I became anti-religion. I became atheist. At that point, I later rediscovered God, but during my teen years, I was super atheistic, writing speed metal, Slayer, rip-off songs about Satan. Not that I believed in Satan, but I didn't believe in Satan or God. I just wanted to scare people, and I thought it was cool to write satanic lyrics and all that. They got me hook, line, and sinker, man. I was all about it. And that was the first time I knew that lies on a worldwide scale are out there, and we have to figure out which ones are lies and which ones are not lies. I never believed the moon mission, really. That moon mission, maybe as a kid I did, but that was really one of the first ones. Like, oh my God, it's so fake. Yeah. And from that point, I didn't trust NASA, but I thought NASA was just about the moon and the moon missions. I didn't know NASA was everything space. So once I found out NASA was everything space, I'm like, oh my God, maybe the world is flat. Maybe space is fake. NASA is in charge of all this shit? I thought they were just in charge of the moon. I didn't know they were in charge of all of space. Yeah. So that's when I figured out, like, oh shit, we're in a lake, dog. We're in a prison lake, and there's a bunch of lakes, and we're just prisoners. And the United States is just the best minimum security prison. We're just the best one. Everyone's trying to get to the best prison. This prison, they let you have guns, they let you talk any kind of shit you want, and then let you do any religion. And this is the best. This is like the ultimate prison.
Yep.
Yeah, we live in like the end of the golden age of the internet too, where all of these conspiracies were able to be passed back and forth before the censorship really started to kick in. I remember when I was working with Rob back in 2017, 2018, you could still find flat Earth videos, whenever you went to YouTube. But now there's so much like disinformation on every single topic. And then we're talking about like AI being introduced. It's almost like, how are people going to find the truth in the next decade, right? Because, the internet, you're not going to be able to trust what you see on there with, the advent of the new censorship technology and AI. So like, there's gonna be these few people like Eddie and like us and people that are aware now, kind of trumpeting the truth whenever nobody can trust, you know, what they digest online anymore.
Yeah, they already got it down, man. Like, I think on the podcast that you were on, Jeremiah, didn't we punch in
we did.
the exact title?
Mm-hmm.
The exact, I mean, it's a long-ass title, too. Like, CIA admits flat Earth.
It was a
NASA,
conspiracy in a
Roxy,
conspiracy. It was so crazy.
Yeah. You punch in the exact title,
Nothing.
and you're not going to get that video. You're going to get 100 other videos first, and then it's buried at the bottom.
And they're all
So
debunked. And it's like, what's going on?
It's so obvious. It's so obvious. On the streets, if the shit was on the streets, nobody would believe that shit. On the streets, there's no propaganda on the streets. On the streets, it's just real shit. There's no propaganda on the streets. And that shit wouldn't fly. It would be so easily detected by people on the street, gangsters. Like, wait a minute. I punch in the video exactly like it's titled, and I have to go through I have to scroll through 100 videos to find it, and all the videos I have to scroll through are all videos debunking what I'm looking for. On the streets, you get killed like that. Like that's like so obvious. It's like you don't see it. You know, any video that has a label on it, that video is over the target. Whatever video, like if you have a label on the video, there's something about that video that the controllers don't want you to see. It's really simple.
Yep.
Yeah. With censorship now, it's like whenever you say the word or whatever, people get demonetized, taken off of YouTube or whatever. And whenever it comes to like being able to speak freely, I kind of wanted to get into the topic of music, because now that we're seeing like the WHO and stuff is censoring speech, and they're censoring speech on all kinds of topics, flat earth, whatever. But music is such a powerful tool because you can literally sing about anything and have like that freedom of expression. And I think that's a new avenue for a lot of people to start sharing truth now that we're entering into this 1984 age of censorship. And so I wanted to like talk to you a little bit about music and just the power of music and its influence on people. Because I mean, I know that was a big part of your past. And before you jumped on, you know, you were talking about yesterday you were practicing with your band. So I think that's pretty cool. But like, could music be the answer to get around all this censorship?
Maybe. Maybe.
Have you ever checked out Charles Manson? Have you ever checked out his music, Jake?
You mean the Beach Boy songs?
No, the actual Charlie Manson's music. Like Dennis Wilson actually recorded Charlie's first album in studio, but he has a whole album, and then he recorded somehow an album in prison. It's crazy.
Okay, I'm back.
Cool.
What's up?
Who recorded an album in prison?
Well, we were talking about Charles Manson, and I think he's one of the most it's crazy. Like in my opinion, I mean, the whole Charles Manson thing, I mean, I think he shouldn't have gone to prison for life for not doing anything. But before Charles Manson was convicted of that, like, Charles Manson wanted to be a musician. He was actually a Beach Boy. Do you know that?
He wasn't a Beach Boy, but the drummer of the Beach
Dennis
Boys,
Wilson
wanted to produce his album. He was in the middle of producing an album for him. And then Charles Manson got crazy one day, wanted to fight the engineer or something, so they abandoned ship.
Yeah, well, it was actually Charlie Manson wrote a song, and I actually have an example of it if you want to hear it, but he recorded a song called Cease to Exist, and then Dennis stole that song, and the Beach Boys named it Never Learn Not to Love, and that's why he was pissed. It's like, there's so much stuff to the backstory of that. It's just so fascinating.
Play it, I want to hear it.
Oh, but can you pull up that? So this is Charlie.
Just come and say you love me. Give up your world. Come on, you can be.
That's the Beach Boys. So that's why I call him a Beach.
Dude, they ripped them off. They ripped them off.
Yeah, and that's why he was so mad, and it just fit right into their narrative when they convicted him, which was, you know, Bugliosi wanted to write that book, and it all has to do with the song Helter Skelter. I mean, off the White Album, because it was too grungy, and that's what set him off. You know, it's just so weird. I mean, this book is the biggest true crime book of all time, and this is the prosecutor. That's insane to me.
Yeah. I've went down the Charles Manson rabbit hole many times, man. Many times. That he was a CIA psyop.
Oh yeah.
You know, he'd been in jail his whole life, in and out of juvenile detention. He didn't like regular. He was just like, okay, you want me to do what? You want me to start a cult? You want me to get these runaways together and experiment with them, like using CIA.
Was MK Ultra?
Yeah, it was MK Ultra, and the same that they used in, you know, in like you said, MK Ultra and CIA operations. It's like it was obvious he was supported, funded by the CIA. There was FBI involved. I mean, he probably was a bad guy. I mean, he's been in and out of jail, but
yeah.
He got used, and he was just he probably did a lot of horrible shit. He probably had some, you know, murders, you know, on his hands and all that. He was a bad guy for sure, but he was directed by intelligence, and it was some kind of intelligence MK Ultra experiment. He got out of jail. He had credit cards. He had a bus. He had the access to that ranch. You know, like it looks like
it's too convenient.
Some kind of psychological MK Ultra operation.
You know, there's actually a JFK connection with the CIA and Manson. Is the same guy that was his handler was actually Jack Ruby's handler, who killed all. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't even need evidence for that. That just makes sense. You know, that's just like, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy. We did a whole episode about it, but it just, I mean, it's amazing how much MK Ultra. I think they're using it on a mass scale today on us, on, you know, TV, using, you know, all their propaganda tools, and they've mastered the art of MK Ultra. And so they just, you know, project it on us all the time. We don't even know that it's happening sometimes, you know, but every once in a while.
I think they want us to think that MK Ultra is like one-on-one. You got some guy in a room and he got a helmet on with all these electrodes and they're zapping him. But the real MK Ultra, the most important MK Ultra, is the television and, you know, now social media. That's the real MK Ultra.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's tied to the Helter Skelter thing in the music industry. I mean, Manson tied to music, Beach Boys. They saw how powerful and influential music could be, and so then you see in the 90s the whole hip-hop, you know, government prison system conspiracy, as they then used music to then lead people into becoming like much more enslaved in our, you know, slave pond, as you put it. But yeah, I mean, that's why I think music is so interesting, and seeing like throughout history people having a voice and that being quieted. We have an opportunity now to share these conspiracies and truths, but then we're getting shut down when it's on like a preaching format. But whenever you sing music, or, you know, you have a groovy tune and you put truth in that, the natural barriers that people have, the cognitive dissonance, I feel like those walls come down, and you know, it's easier to get through to people, you know, if you sing about something meaningful.
Yeah, like quercetin. It's quercetin with the Q. That's a supplement that you're supposed to take with zinc or your vitamin D, or really any vitamins And the quercetin isn't a vitamin, but it's the vehicle that takes the vitamins into the blood cells or whatever. Like without the quercetin, zinc can't get into the blood cells. So you take zinc with quercetin, then it takes the zinc in because the quercetin gets in, and the quercetin gets in and that's zinc with it. And that's how you get zinc in the cells. That's how music works. Music takes the words into your soul. So if the music, you vibe with the music and it's moving you and you love it and you're rocking, like, I love this song. Whatever those words are in that song, they're getting into your soul. Without the music, the words can't get into your cells. The music is the quercetin to the lyrics. That's what takes those lyrics into your soul.
Yeah, that's so well put. I mean, nobody likes to be preached at. Nobody wants to be told off how they're blind and dumb on whatever topic, and it makes sense that there's got to be a vehicle of delivery. So,
exactly, that's what it is.
I love that we're all three musicians too. That's pretty awesome. That we could just sit down and like talk about music and conspiracies and stuff. That's pretty awesome.
Wake up the people, all the blind sitting under the steeples, all the lies and inherited evils. Wake up the people.
Yeah. Truth in a way. Yeah. And what do I say? 'Cause I would do anything just to get you to stay. 'Cause I love you, baby. Yeah, I love you, baby.
Hell yeah. Now the music I'm doing now is I had little conspiracies in the music I've done my whole life. Even when I was 18, writing speed metal music, I didn't know shit about how the world was run. I just knew it was bullshit. And I was in a band called Resistance. I played drums. I was 16, 17, 18. And it was always like anti-government. It started off like satanic shit to scare Christians because I was atheist. But then I got tired of writing evil satanic lyrics and started writing like I had a song I wrote when I was 17 called Without Recovery. It was a speed metal song that was about the economy collapsing. I didn't know shit about the economy. I still don't know shit about the economy. But I was writing about, the song was about the economy collapsing, and now all the rich people, they're all on the streets with the poor people. Now we're going to eat you up. Now your money means nothing to us now. And now you're one of us and we're going to eat you alive. That's what I was writing.
I mean, it's kind of prophetic. I mean, that's kind of what's happening now, right?
Kind of.
Kind of.
What I was talking about. I don't know. And now I'm writing, currently, I'm writing, I made an album of shit that I always done but never recorded professionally. I always wrote joke songs on acoustic guitar, just songs that were like 5, and I would like send them to those 5 people, and then I would forget about the song, and then I'd write another stupid and silly song on acoustic, and then 3 people would hear it, and then I never recorded them professionally. Like the real music I did was I was doing hip hop for people that don't generally like hip hop. I wanted to make because I love rap, but most of the music I don't like. I came from metal, I came from goth, I came from industrial. I want to hear that music, but I love that rap has no limits. Like rock lyrics have limits. Rock lyrics have to be metaphoric, vague, poetic. 99% of my favorite rock songs, I have no idea what the song is really about. Like Smashing Pumpkins, one of my favorite bands ever. I don't know what any of those songs are about. I just found out what Cherub Rock was about last week. I saw an interview and he said it's about, selling your soul in the music industry. I'm like, damn, I thought it was about hookers. I had no idea. But I love that song, Cherub Rock. So my point is, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's what makes music. And I think Roberta Flack, who I know no songs from, but I remember the quote because I never forget that. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that music, that's music right there. It's how you say it. And it doesn't even matter if you know the meaning of it. It's what is the vocal melody? You know, like I said, I never knew what Cherub Rock was about, but those vocal melodies are golden, and I don't even know what the lyrics are about until recently. So it's the vocal melody. The meaning of the lyrics are icing on the cake. If the meaning of the lyrics are great, if you wrote great lyrics, that's the icing on the cake. But the most important thing with music is, what is the music doing? How are you what are the melodies doing? That's the quercetin. That's what gets into your soul, is the combination of all the layers, the bass, the drums, the keyboards, the guitar, the synth, the strings, all that shit. And then the vocal melody on top of that. And the vocal melody is comprised of words, which is like, vocals are like an instrument, but there's words. It's like a 5D synthesizer of vocal melody, because every word sounds different. So that's like a different keyboard program. So the lyrics and the vocal melody, not the meaning, not really the meaning. The meaning is that's just the icing. If you got a great music and, you know, the lyrics are just average, it doesn't even matter. The music, that's one of your favorite songs, and the lyrics, like as far as the meaning goes, the meaning is like there's a lot of songs that are about nothing. Yeah. There's bands that write songs and they brag about it and they talk about it. They go, dude, this song is literally about nothing. We just had one line. We had one line, and then we just come up with a bunch of different lines to go with it, and we make a song, and then people think it's about this, people think it's about that, but it's about nothing. It's just random cool lines that we put together. We made a song, we named it this. There's so many songs like that, because people at the top, they know that the meaning of the lyrics is secondary. It's all about the music and the vocal melody. It's the vocal melody, not the meaning of the words. It's the vocal melody. The meaning of the words, if it's a great meaning and you got some intelligent lyrics, that's icing on the cake. But I'll tell you what, if you had super intelligent lyrics and they just had so much meaning and they meant so much to you, but the music wasn't shit, you wouldn't listen to that song anyways. It's a waste of lyrics.
That's true.
I'm so glad you brought up the Pumpkins, because I was a big fan growing up on them. And you know, Cherub Rock, you like hit a bell in my head, because are you familiar with the whole like fallen angel connection with aliens and the you know, Cherub Rock, I wonder if that's a reference to the Mount Hermon situation. I know Sam was talking about it during his set at the comedy show, that he was looking into like the Book of Enoch. Have you ever looked into any of that kind of stuff?
Book of Enoch, but I haven't even looked at the regular Bible. I heard that there's like Book of Enoch they pulled out of the Bible. It's not in it. It's got some interesting stuff. It's the real shit. They had to pull it out. Roman Empire. To me, I know the Bible has some real shit in it. It's just there's so many different versions, and everyone thinks they have the right version. That's why I'm hesitant, because I don't like. I mean, of course it's been manipulated, right? Wouldn't the controllers manipulate that book and change it up and leave things out and add shit to confuse you? So I don't know what to read.
Oh, I totally. I mean, there's so much discrepancies between translations. I mean, I think there's a lot of really cool things in those ancient texts. The reason I was bringing up the Book of Enoch, because I did this audio dramatization of that scene where the fallen angels come down, and in every ancient culture they believe the Anunnaki, right, that came down from heaven to earth or whatever. And I wanted to play this clip for you because since you brought up Cherub Rock, it's a cool transition, because I think the Pumpkins might have been referring to this scene in the Book of Enoch. And I know they have their, you know, what they say, but you know, the language Cherub Rock is a really interesting connection to this like really ancient text. Do you mind if we play that? I think you'll like it. Check this out.
Check out my Nephilim skull.
Chapter 6. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another,
Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children.
And Semyaza, who was their leader, said unto them,
I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin.
And they all answered him, and said,
Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing.
Then sware they all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon, because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it.
So,
well, let me ask you something. Is that AI generated graphics?
No, I did all that.
Dude, those are some great
No AI.
graphics. I thought that was AI. No, you did that? You're
yeah, I did
a
that.
graphic designer?
I'm just a self-taught. But
That's awesome.
oh man, I thank you. I love talking about that because I think the whole, all roads lead back to Rome in terms of the conspiracy topic, right? You said it started with you as an altar boy going, hold on a second, there's more to meets the eye, and I think like when it comes to all those scriptures you were talking about, and even apocryphal texts like the Book of Enoch, there's a reason they make it so confusing, because there's some gems that are hiding in there that they're trying to obfuscate or whatever. They're trying to hide it, and that's why you had to speak Latin or whatever for thousands of years to figure out what the Bible. You got to go to a priest or whatever. But we live in like this day and age where more than any generation before, people have access to these ancient texts, and whether it be biblical cosmology or whether it be just common sense truths, it's a really cool topic. But I love the tie-in with like the Book of Enoch and fallen angels, and because today we have so many alien disclosure things hitting the scene, and so it kind of makes you wonder, what agenda are they trying to push with all of the disclosure that's happening regarding aliens and stuff? What do you think about all that? Like, I mean, in 2019, do you remember that meme time where people were gonna like storm Area 51?
I remember that.
I think it's all just Project Bluebeam, man. I think it's all just bullshit. I think they're like all of a sudden they're getting desperate. I think whoever's running everything, whether you call it the deep state, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, the people, the controllers, it seems like they're panicking a little bit, man, and they're going, "Damn, we gotta pull off this fake alien invasion quick, because our time is short." That's what it seems like. I used to be balls deep in the aliens and all that shit. Now I realize, just like William Cooper. Once I heard William Cooper say, dude, they want you to believe in aliens, because if you don't believe in aliens, how are they going to fake the alien invasion? So that's why they push everything space. Everything space and aliens and E.T., Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica. Yep. It makes sense. They push the shit out of that. And you know what? You could be a whistleblower and talk about UFOs. They let you get on. They're not trying to silence you. They're not trying to silence Bob Lazar. They made a documentary about Bob Lazar and put her on Netflix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so they're pushing Bob Lazar. And Bob Lazar's like, oh, I'm worried they're going to come get me. They ain't going to come get you. You're doing exactly what they want you to do.
It's like Miami. The Miami thing was so crazy. Like, it wasn't true. I don't think. I think they were hiding something else.
They're getting desperate. they're desperate, yet they're hesitant to pull the trigger all the way because they know once they go all the way with okay, they're gonna have to have like a mothership or something, like a giant, like they're already talking about like a mothership 150 miles wide. They're already talking about it. It's gonna come over, and they're getting ready for it, dude. They're getting ready for it, and I think they know most of the people aren't gonna fall for it. I think they know that I think we're at a point where, man, just over the last couple months, like before a couple months ago, I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought, damn, there might be no hope, man. We might just turn into Venezuela, and then we just might be like just a third world country where they have full control of us and we can't see. Yep. And we're dependent on the government for everything: food, energy, health care, and all that shit. But it seems like, I don't know if you guys saw Eric Weinstein on Joe Rogan's podcast last week, but that was huge, because that guy, Eric Weinstein, is one of those guys, scientist, fully, academia, and they just the most articulate, well-spoken guy in the lake. But so he knows his conventional, traditional science. He knows everything about it, and now he's awakened. So now he's taking that science brain and just following logic, and he's saying, he's on Joe Rogan's podcast saying, this ain't about money. How could it be about money? No one likes censorship. That goes against money. He goes, like, everything's being censored, and they're willing to take companies down and corporations down for the agenda. It's not about money. He said, Joe, it's about some evil. He's he's saying it in a super safe way. But if you watch that, Eric Weinstein's like, dude, do you do the math? There's some evil going on right now. This ain't about money. This is about evil. And he's on Joe Rogan's podcast saying that. So man, that's huge. Eric Weinstein saying, oh, it's not about money, man. There's some other shit going on. And man, it's huge. That's huge. That's so huge. That podcast, man. Because people listen to him. The zombies listen to him, because, like, if that was Alex Jones saying the exact same thing Eric Weinstein was saying, people would just say, oh, that's just Alex Jones. That's just Alex Jones. If it was me saying that, oh, that's that crazy flat earther guy. But Eric Weinstein saying it, has a lot of power, because he was all up on their side. Oh, that was the left's hero, scientifically. And now he's saying, this is a battle of good and evil. There's some evil shit. They're willing to kill us. They're still pushing the jab. They're still pushing it.
Oh, yeah.
They have no problem killing us. They have no problem. So now it's like, how do you trust any pharmaceuticals at this point? Like, damn, I used to take a pill here, a pill there. Yeah. They have no problem killing you. They have no problem. If you die from a medication, they don't give a. That's obvious. They're still pushing it. You would think that they would just completely drop it and never bring up that COVID again. You think they would never bring that up again with all the data that's out, but they're still pushing it. They still have commercials for it. They don't care about killing us. Now it's like, damn, they're trying to kill us.
Dude, have you ever heard of Paxlovid? I keep seeing infomercials about it. I don't even know if we can air this part on YouTube, but it blows my mind. It's like, if you feel like you're getting COVID symptoms, try Paxlovid. And I'm like, what? That makes no sense at all. Like, why do I have to take this extra drug?
They got it's like a lyric line. It goes, feeling COVID? Paxlovid.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's a melody, Doc.
I know, it's almost too perfect. It's too perfect.
Think you got COVID? Try Paxlovid. Or some shit like that.
Paxlovid.
Fuck, people are retarded. I mean, it's scary that there's still so many zombies out there, but it's also good to know that it seems like more and more people are awakening at a rapid pace. It seems like it's happening. And like the border and all that. Now the border is like really waking people up too. I mean, there's like millions. They're trying to ruin this country on purpose. They want to flood it with illegals, get everyone to vote
Blue.
Demon or Democrat.
Yeah.
That's the plan. And now people are seeing it. People are seeing it. The border is waking up a lot of people.
Yeah, especially here in Texas. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Damn, I can imagine. Like, I mean, the border towns in Texas, damn, they must be seeing, because you go to like Tucson, you go to the airport, you see the illegals, they all have like Homeland Security tags on their backpacks.
Oh yeah.
And they never been on a plane in their life. All of them are lost at the airport.
Yeah.
You see them, they're fucking lost. They walk on a plane. I walked on a plane in front of illegals that they had Homeland Security. I'm like, I took pictures of it going, oh my God, I'm walking on the plane with these, and they're just like looking at the plane going, what is this? What seat am I in? They're completely lost. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They're just getting them plane tickets, giving them debit cards, giving them iPhones.
And
crazy.
That upsets me because of the homeless population. It's like they care more about these people that come from all over this flat plane we call the world, right? And our homeless populations that are, you know, some of them are ex-military, some of them are just people that have had a hard time, and it seems like our government just doesn't care about them, but they care more about these illegal people, you know, from everywhere.
The homeless is good for the deep state. They want homeless. The more homeless, the better. The more illegals coming through, the better. So it's not like they care about someone more or other. It's like, what is the quickest way to destroy this country? They're trying to self-destruct the country. That's really what's going on.
They're not far off.
Yeah, they're trying to destroy it, 100%.
That's why we gotta keep spreading truth, man.
Yeah. Like for me, I spread in my own little way. You know, if you haven't figured it out by now, it's like, because spreading the truth is like, to who? The zombies that still are buying this shit. It's almost like we're beyond that. It's like, hopefully enough people have enough common sense and have figured it out and have awakened. Hopefully enough, because at this point, some people are not going to wake up, man, and they're not.
We've lost them.
You still are voting for Biden, man. You still think Trump is a fascist, man. There's no hope for you.
Yeah, you're a lunatic, right?
Yeah.
So you can't see all the signs in front of you. It's just
they're right there, you know. So to go out, you know, I spread truth on my podcast. Everything else, I'm trying to survive in this prison. You know what I mean? Because we're in a prison, man. We're run by a cartel, and you speak up about the cartel enough in certain ways, they'll eliminate you. So you got to do it in a way. You got to take out the feet, take out the ankles, take out the hands. If you go right for the head, you might get your head chopped off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you get the eye of Sauron looking on you.
You can't just say anything and do anything. You just can't. I mean, everyone thinks they're all brave and everything. You know, the bravest motherfucker out there is like, Stuart Peters. You know, Stu Peters. That guy's fucking dude. He's out there just saying all sorts of shit. You know. And that takes a lot of courage, man, to say what he's saying. Whoa, you know, that right there, you know, dangerous.
Yeah.
I think the transition between conspiracies like the flat earth theory and stuff in 2018, 2019, that was like the most viral topic. It was on Jimmy Kimmel. It was on all these different, you know, late night shows. Everybody's making fun of it. But then the next year, you know, people wonder, okay, why weren't people talking flat earth as much anymore? Well, much more pressing, in your face, important conspiracies started coming, you know, about. And, you know, I will say that I think the flat earth movement back in those, you know, 2016 to 2019 timeframe, it prepped a flock of people to be that guy in the back of the room standing up saying, I don't buy it. I don't believe the guy in the white lab coat, because, you know, in the back of your subconscious mind, if you bow to the authority or the specialist system, when it comes to NASA and the men in white lab coats that tell you truth in that regard, then you're already more likely to bend over to men in white lab coats when it comes to something much more close to home, like your medical well-being. So the whole NASA the deception and the men in white lab coats in that industry groomed us and prepared us to just be like, oh, I trust the expert. I trust the guy in the white lab coat, so that whenever the stuff started happening in 2020, 2021 with the people were all the more likely to be like, oh, we live in a specialist society where if you don't have a specialization or a doctorate or a paper in this field, then your opinion doesn't matter. And unfortunately, I think that system, that culture of a specialist opinion society is what's shooting everybody in the foot. Because I mean, people are smart enough to look up stuff. You know, we're smart enough to question the official narrative, and then you have doctors, of course, putting up in their office, your Google search doesn't compare to my degree or whatever, you know, and they just kind of belittle people who want to research on their own. And
it's like if you do a Google search on my dad, it's like anti-vaxxer dies of COVID. It's like he didn't even die of COVID. He didn't even have that in his system at the time of his death. And it's like, I use the example of Bob Saget because he had it in his system at the time of his death, but they didn't list it on his death certificate. But that was the first thing they listed on my dad's. And we've been trying to fight that and get that off for so long. It's just crazy. These white lab coats.
Jeremiah, we have some short, quick clips for some flat Earth stuff. A clip of Rob or two, if you wanted to get into those.
You want to check it out, Eddie?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
All right, first clip. Why can't we trust NASA? Well, they all were ex-Nazis.
It's no secret that NASA was largely founded based on Project Paperclip, where more than 1,600 Nazis escaped the judgment that they deserved and found refuge in the United States, many becoming founding members of NASA. And of course, at the same time, you have DARPA being created. And you have Freemasons at the highest levels of NASA running the show. So yeah, lots of interesting things. It gets even more interesting when you go a little bit further back, just by way of a setup here, and look at this character right here, Aleister Crowley. He's out there in January through March of 1918 doing a series of magical experiments called the Amelantra workings, in which he is said to have opened a portal to another dimension, allowing an entity, I believe a demon, named Lamb to enter through it. Now, this is the drawing that he made in 1918 of this character that he apparently had some interaction with. If you look at this picture, it's curiously similar to something we might call an alien gray today in pop culture. So, it doesn't take a whole lot of research on this character to realize he was into some really, really dark stuff. So why did I bring this up? This is, 1918 time frame. Well, you have this character who's very much a part of the early space program, Jack Parsons, who is basically a disciple, practically an heir apparent to Crowley and all of his activities. Well, supposedly Crowley's portal was further enlarged by Jet Propulsion Laboratory founder and rocket fuel scientist Jack Parsons. Okay, this is the guy who was one of the founding members of JPL, was a big part of NASA and the space program. And he's out there with Scientology and Dianetics founder L. Ron Hubbard in March of 1946 at a location that later became known as Area 51. They're doing all kinds of ceremonial sex magic. They called it the Babylon working. And it's very similar to the Amelantra working, based on ceremonial sex magic. But unlike Crowley, however, they were not as adept at opening and closing portals, and theirs apparently stayed open, and the modern UFO era began 1 year later, in 1947, the same year Crowley died. So, this is all going on about the same time you've got Admiral Byrd going down there for Operation High Jump. And a decade later, we got the founding of NASA. And these are the characters, okay, Freemasons, Nazis, and occultists creating the space program.
Yeah, I know you know all this stuff, Eddie.
I think when the Nazis came over in Operation Paperclip, I think that they were like, dude, you guys aren't scaring your people with UFOs. They're like, no, why would we? Dude, like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You got to scare the out of them with UFOs, and then you're the savior. You save them from UFOs. Because that's what the Nazis were doing. The Nazis were, they were making UFOs scaring the out of their own people. So right when they, 1947, Operation Paperclip, Nazis come to the United States. They formed the CIA, they formed NASA or DARPA, and right away, 1947, same year, Roswell, or that was Roswell. I think that was like, dude, you got to get these guys on UFOs. And then right after that, massive UFO comic books and movies in the 50s. They went Mars attacks in the 50s. There was a lot of aliens and Martians going on. I think that was all part of the infiltration of Nazis into our intelligence and our government. That's what I think. I could be wrong though. It's just coincidentally the same year.
It's coincidence.
The same year they take over. We start with the Roswell.
We recently interviewed one of the experts on the Roswell event, named L.A. Marzulli, and there's an interesting theory that I'd never heard put forward about what happened at Roswell, that instead of 2 little alien bodies, it was just that they had used orphans to fly their, UFO technology. And they were trying to use aliens to cover up the fact that they were putting children in their spacecraft, and the children died, in a catastrophic, burning crash. And they're trying to hide the fact that Nazis were, using American orphans for their experiments. Oh, man.
That could be true. I don't know.
Possible. I don't know.
I just think it was because at first it was a weather balloon, and then the next day at first it was a UFO, and then the next day they say no, it was just a weather balloon. Maybe it was just maybe it was probably just a weather balloon or something, or like maybe a missile or something landed and blew up or something. Who knows? But it's just awfully coincidental that 1947 Operation Paperclip, 1947 Roswell. That pretty much kicked off the whole UFO craze and Martians and all that in the United States. That's where it started.
Well, it's amazing what that place has become now. It's just like it's like Disneyland for people that love aliens. And
they push that. They love it.
Me and my girlfriend went there, and we were like, there's not really a whole lot here, but like a museum and a bunch of shops. So, I mean, there's nothing really to see there anymore, if there ever was,
You would think if it was real, that the government would shut that down.
Yeah.
Like if you opened up like a little Roswell UFO shop, that they would go in there and shut you the fuck down. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? But they love it, dude. They love it. They probably fund some of these, Roswell stores. They probably love that shit. Yeah. They probably put up billboards because they have billboards like, alien country or whatever.
Dude, they have the biggest alien holding a Dunkin' Donuts, I think it is what it is. It's the funniest thing right when you go into Roswell. And it's the... I guarantee it did. Yeah, man.
We got another short clip here. One of the things that set Rob apart of a lot of researchers is he really did his own homework, and I think that's why some of his flat earth content was so powerful and so many people were swayed to question cosmology as we've been taught. So check out this clip, which is Rob's blue marble debunking, and tied into that clip from the Apollo mission. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon.
Then I ask you, if we can prove, and I think the evidence is abundant, when you look at websites like Alice.com, look at the documentaries like A Funny Thing Happened to the Moon, On the Way to the Moon, and many others that have been done, if we can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I think there's more than enough evidence to do so, that Apollo never happened the way we were told that it did, then neither did this. This is the picture we've all seen in our textbooks. This is from Apollo 17. I've got a YouTube video where I show another picture taken from Apollo 17, where the astronaut is like kind of right in the foreground, and over his shoulder is the Earth. And I did this live on the air on Google Hangout I took the audience, I said, look, we're going to the NASA website, we're going to Apollo 17, we're on the Apollo 17 page, look at this this picture of scientists on the moon, clicked on that picture, download it, bring it into the Photoshop, adjust the levels, the contrast levels, and what do you know? A rectangular box shows up around the Earth. What's a rectangular box doing around the Earth? By the same mission that gave us this picture, that was in every one of our textbooks growing up. This was the only picture we saw for decades until they started putting out the Blue Marble series, and none of them looked the same. Which one, NASA? Which one's our Earth? Yeah. Continents are shifting and growing and shrinking in size. Everything, colors, everything looks different. My favorite one is the one from 2002. That's the one if you bought an iPad or an iPhone, it's the default background. In fact, no, I don't have my iPad with me, but if I turn my iPad on, it's still there. I still have the default background. That's the Blue Marble from 2002. Well, I brought that one into Photoshop and did an analysis on it because I saw some other people doing it, and I wanted to check it for myself. And I kept seeing where the Photoshop clone tool was replicating clouds. These are just a few of the highlighted areas where that's the case. Wait a minute, if we're taking pictures of the Earth, why the heck do you have to use Photoshop to replicate clouds? And why is the majority of the modifications in the so-called southern hemisphere? This is what really got me going. You know, when I went down this trail, started looking at the Blue Marbles and looking at pictures allegedly shot of our Earth from space and seeing actual footage of Apollo 11 faking the Earth in the window because they had a circular window inside the capsule, and they're on the other end of the capsule. They had all the lights out, and they're angling the camera in such a way that the curvature of the window is giving the illusion of a spherical Earth that they were supposedly shooting through the window to see.
Unfortunately, we only have one window that has a view of the Earth, and it's filled up with the TV camera. So your view now is probably better than ours is. Roger, we copy. 11, Houston, if you could comply, we'd like to see some smiling faces up there. If you could give us some interior views, I'm sure everybody'd like to see you. Over. Okay, we'll reconfigure the TV for that. Roger.
Oh man, I know you've seen that stuff, but what are your thoughts, Eddie?
Man, you see what they're saying? They're saying, yo, there's only one window and it's filled with the camera and we can't look out, so but at least you guys can see what's up. We got the camera on the window. That's what it looks. They're trying to make it look like the camera's at the window, but the camera's actually at the back of the capsule, and they got everything blacked out, and they got a stencil, you know. So really, they're like probably, 80,000 feet up. You know, they're probably in a high altitude airplane where the whole window is just clouds and just the view of Earth. But when they black everything out, leave a little hole, a little stencil, it looks like it's 100,000 miles away. Just bullshit. They're faking the distance of the Earth from the spacecraft. That's what they're doing. They're really in, they're like probably in the 80,000 foot range, maybe lower. They probably don't even need to go that high really to fake it. But
it's like that Red Bull jump.
They try to make it look like they're halfway to the moon.
Yep.
Yeah, the Felix Baumgartner jump that even Neil deGrasse Tyson said at that height he couldn't see the curvature, despite the fact of all the fisheye lenses all the way down. But
only 536 people have allegedly seen the curvature of the Earth with their own eyes. Felix Baumgartner is going to get his heart broken over the curvature of the Earth.
Oh, how I can't wait to see the curve. Couldn't see it from mountains. Couldn't see it from plains. Now at 128,100 feet, this balloon ride will give me what I want. What? It's flat?
Houston, cut to outer fisheye lens camera ASAP.
I've been catfished. False advertising.
Curvature relationship expert Neil deGrasse Tyson comments on the relationship.
Standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface. And you go, wow, he's in space. Look at that. No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth.
What if the Earth is flat?
I think, it's the burden of proof of people who still buy into the globular, heliocentric, spinning monkey ball religion to actually prove that that is reality.
Several decades ago, we found a problem so great that it was brushed under the carpet for many a decade. And this is the fact that galaxies spin too fast. In fact, 10 times too fast. By rights, the galaxy should fly apart. Therefore, scientists said that we have to have dark matter, a halo of matter that surrounds the galaxy and holds the galaxy together.
And what have they discovered? Absolutely nothing. Zilch.
What is a little bit perturbing is that after 50 years we still haven't found what the dark matter is. But on the other hand, that doesn't mean they're not there, it just means they're harder to find than we thought.
We look out in the universe and 85% of all the gravity that's out there has some mysterious unknown source. We add up all the stars, the galaxies, the planets, the comets, the black holes, the dark clouds, everything out there that we can see, touch, smell, or taste. And it doesn't add up to give us the gravity that we see operating in this universe. So really we should be calling it the dark force, because we don't know if it's made of matter. It could be a profound misnomer, sending people off in thought directions that might not really be the right path. So dark matter is just simply what we call this thing about which we know nothing, responsible for 85% of the gravity of the cosmos. It is the longest standing unsolved problem in modern astrophysics. Dark matter, dark energy. Everything we know about the universe, what we're made of, galaxies, stars, planets, that's all right here. So, according to this chart, we are 96% stupid.
So the problem with cosmology is that we keep inventing theories, ad hoc theories, to try to explain the data, such as inflation, dark matter, dark energy, and so on, just to keep patching the theory up.
There is a crisis in cosmology. Usually in science, if we're off by a factor of 2 or a factor of 10, we call that horrible. We say something's wrong with the theory. We're off by a factor of 10. However, in cosmology, we're off by a factor of 10 to the 120. That is 1 with 120 zeros after it. This is the largest mismatch between theory and experiment in the history of science.
Really?
Wow! Beer mug hyperspace multi-bubble verse. Really?
Beer.
Seriously? They're farting out beer bubble universes. Okay? That's what they're doing. Hey, I got an idea. Yep. Multi-beer bubble universe. And they call that science. And they make fun of us? Really? Yeah, I'm not going to take that from them anymore. I'm not going to sit here and let people who think they came from monkeys out of a beer bubble universe ridicule me for looking into what I'm looking into and considering, a possibility. If you guys can think about beer bubble universes, then I can think about a snow globe. Fair enough? Okay, let's move on.
And when you have to kind of give away your own thought process to NASA and you just trust their imagery and documentation when they've been proven liars over and over and over. And I think that's what we love our audience to see. And that's why we love kind of your insight on some of these clips, Eddie, and your reaction, because people don't understand how people could be, believe in this alternative cosmology in today's world. And, Rob did so much good work, breaking some of these things down. Here's a very short clip that we'd love to get your reaction from of the ISS footage and some of the obvious glitches and CGI that they use to deceive the masses.
So those iconic blue marble images seen from space,
Flat earthers denounce them as fakes.
You start seeing words like composite or animation or something that tells you this is not an actual photograph of the Earth.
Look closely. Guy in background looks like he is wearing a harness.
Wedgie.
Augmented reality is also a supposed deception on the ISS. This guy is literally grabbing nothing and putting it away. Nothing is being grabbed, and he's putting it out of shot. What? I'm just going to start ringing the bell indiscriminately. That guy in the background is in front of a blue screen in what looks like a set to fake space footage. Looks like this same astronaut on the ISS playing with water. Weird.
Huh.
This astronaut is playing with something out of a video game.
So what about astronauts?
The space shots are actually shot in a swimming pool. And they're shot in a place that's called the NASA Neutral
Shout out
Buoyancy
Bob
Lab.
Nodell. NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Lab has a mock-up of the ISS in a swimming pool that some suggest is used to film spacewalks.
I was told my tax dollars were going to murdering monkeys in space. And now you're telling me they're just faking it in a jacuzzi?
Bubble. Bubble. Bubble.
Bubble.
Bubbles. Bubble. 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 Bubbles. Look, the point being is if there All right, that's is good, Opa. reasonable... All right, what are some of your thoughts on that mockery of human intelligence?
Yeah, it's so obvious that they're just filming stuff underwater and with green screens. I mean, that's so obvious. I mean, I like that joke though. He goes, "Dude, I thought my tax dollars were going to murder monkeys in space, and now they're just doing it in jacuzzis." That's
I love
so
that clip.
Good. Oh man, that's so good. I was like, damn, I wish I had made that up. I could use that.
It's funny. And comedy is very important in a dark world like today. I mean, it's always important to laugh. I mean, for my own sanity, at least. So.
Yeah. So, like, my philosophy is, for me personally, is I can't be Captain Conspiracy all day. You know? Half the day I'm paying attention, but then I got a son, and he's living a happy life, and eventually I'm gonna have to red pill him slowly. But right now he's loving life. He really doesn't really get it, like conspiracy theories at all. I'm not red pilling him right now at all. But we do have him into guns. He's got his own gun, so we go shooting. So got him into guns, and
that's good.
Hopefully that keeps him from being manipulated by people at school or whatever.
Yeah. What position does he play? Because I was a D1 college pitcher. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. He plays at everything. He's on travel teams. He's really good for it's crazy how good 11-year-olds could be. He throws harder and further and faster than I did. Yeah, guys, he's got a cannon for an arm, and he's pitching. He's doing good pitching, but he plays everything: center field, third base, first base, a lot of catcher. He catches a lot.
That's awesome, man.
So, yeah. So we're not. I'm just gonna let him just be happy for as long as possible before we start. Before I have to inform him that our government is trying to kill us.
Yeah, I saw this cool picture. It's the concept of, we got to pour into the next generation, and all the lies that we've been taught that we inherited in innocence and kept in ignorance. We have to uproot those weeds as we raise the next generation. I got a family too. I got 2 daughters, and I got my 3rd child is actually due this week. So, I mean that's so important, and that's why we can't be such doom pillars, right? We got to actually have a hope and a perspective for the future, because you can really get depressed and down when it comes with all these conspiracies. I think that's like the big hope, right? Is how do we create a good environment for our children to not buy the next big deception? Because you imagine the level of deceiving capability that the government or whoever is going to have now that we're in the age of AI and all the, you know, I mean, it's going to be so hard to navigate the world, and they're going to be shilling out lies that are so strong. You're just going to have already decided you don't believe already proven liars. And I think that's what the big mountain to climb is like, well, like, what effect are we going to have in the coming years as they continue to, you know, try to tighten the rein on information?
Dude, I think it's going to be crazy with the AI, because like I've said before, they can frame you for a crime. I mean, it's going to be more powerful than DNA evidence, I think. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah, like the deep fake stuff is insane. I mean, deep fake videos are just so hard that they almost have it mastered. It's almost perfect. And as long as there's like a program that you could put this video through to check it and it's legit, man, once it gets to the point where even program, like no one can tell, if maybe it'll never get to that. Maybe they'll always be able to tell if it's a deep fake or not. Maybe they always will. I don't know. But man, you know, AI is scary.
Yeah.
Right now, AI has a trouble with creating hands. And I saw this product on sale online. It's like a ring for your finger that's an extra finger. And so if you're caught on video, you can claim it's an AI because your hand will be looking like you have an extra digit, because AI can't make hands. So it's like it keeps you from being able to be recorded and them claiming, you know, it's actually you. You can be like, yeah, hey, look, it's AI. I got three fingers on the right hand there.
That's crazy.
So if you wear a ring, it throws AI off? Is that what you're saying?
So AI, for some reason, AI can't figure out, no matter how cool the picture looks, it can't figure out how to make a hand look right. And so if you look at AI images, the hands will have like extra fingers and they'll be all warped and looking weird. And so there's a ring that has a fake finger on the ring. And so you put it on your hand, and you can then claim any video footage of you was AI generated, since it has the multiple.
Dude, we should buy
you
those.
Wear that ring all the time now.
We should buy those and sell them in the shop, man. That'd be funny.
That's hilarious.
Looks so weird. It like go around. You know, I think one of the reasons Rob was so potent is that he was just on a quest for truth, and we're all on this journey for truth, right? And we get in our own avenues and our special interests, right? But it's kind of like a lifestyle. But we're like in the age of deception, and Rob believed that cosmology and NASA were leading to something. He dived deep on the biblical truth of like how it warned us that these conspiracies were going to start happening in the world. And that's why I'd encourage anybody, you know, no matter what, you know, translation or scripture thing, Eddie, at least check it out. At least start on one of them, because there's some really interesting things that are happening in the world today that are directly tied. And Rob called it out.
A spinning globe, 666, and the strong delusion. As I started to analyze everything that I've been researching, I began to wonder, is the spinning heliocentric globular Earth model that we've all been taught, the Copernican model, is that actually the strong delusion of Scripture, the great deception, or at least a major part of it? And I began to believe that it is, and I'll go through my reasons for that now. 2 Thessalonians 2, beginning in verse 9, the coming of the lawless one, the Antichrist. This is talking about the beast, the lawless man, the lawless one, the man of sin, the beast. These are all terms used to describe this Antichrist character. His coming will be accompanied by the power of Satan. He will use every kind of power, including miraculous signs, lying wonders. Ooh, look at the latest digital picture from the Hubble Space Telescope, and that sort of thing. And every type of evil, to deceive those who are dying, those who refused to love the truth that would have saved them. For this reason, for the reason that people would rather follow the beast, that system, that man, and didn't have a love of the truth, for that reason, God will send them a powerful delusion so that they will believe the lie. You know, I think a lot of people probably think that the great deception, the big delusion, is coming from the Antichrist. But it actually tells you right here, because you would rather follow the Antichrist, and because you don't have a love of the truth, that God himself is sending this delusion. So if God is the one setting this up, it's going to be really powerful. It's going to be very, very convincing. The math will work out for it. And it's going to be really hard to disprove.
People are so easily able to fall asleep and just trust the specialists, but just like you said, I mean, people that are still asleep today despite all of these conspiracies, man, they want to be asleep. Like, you have to actively hate the pursuit of the truth to not want to, you know, investigate the reality of the world and whatever conspiracy. And anyways, you know, that's all, Jeremiah, on my end, but
all right, man.
thanks for...
Yeah, Eddie, thanks. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show and to call you friend.
Thank you, man. I appreciate. Hey, thank you guys for spreading the truth and for doing your thing. And you know, let's do this again sometime soon.
I'd love to. And next time you're in Dallas, love to hang out.
Hell yeah, I'll let you know, man. Thanks.
See you, man.
Appreciate it.
Later.
See you guys. Bye.